What are you? I'm Batman.
Hello, this is Ken. I like making things. I like making things out of paper, and I like making things cooler. Especially my figures. Sometimes figures don't look all that screen accurate. All they need is a bit of touch-up here and there to unleash their hidden potential. I also love using everyday tools and materials to recreate iconic scenes from my figures, so they can shine on my display. Subscribe to my channel and join my DIY adventure as I ask myself the same question every week. Can I make it? Last week, I made a No Way Home display for my Spider-Man 3-pack. I was able to add a variety of characters to the display. I had so much fun making it. Check it out if you haven't already. Sometimes you see a figure and your heart kinda skips a beat. This was the feeling I got when I saw this figure.
Why won't this figure stay up?
Okay, back to what I was saying. I randomly stumbled upon this Michael Keaton Batman figure and nostalgia hit me hard. They captured the feel of the original suit so nicely. I was only able to find this one with the Michael Keaton head, and I almost didn't get it. Let's deconstruct this figure. There's an FAQ on the paint and brushes I use in the description box below. I love how shiny this suit is. When I think of Keaton's Batman suit, the shiny finish is what comes to mind first, and that classic Batman logo. That said, I believe this new updated suit has more of a frosted finish. It's not as glossy if you know what I mean. I also really appreciate the cloth cape. It reminds me of my animated Batman figure from the 90s. They added this greenish yellow wash to his boots. I believe it's meant to represent dirt or something. But the color just looks off. Brown would have looked much more natural. The main issue with this figure is the head. I see the resemblance, but the paint job is not good. The colors are very flat and cartoonish. And those eyes, they look hollow and unnatural. Overall, I think they did a pretty good job nailing the look of this Batman, especially the one with the cowl. That one looks very good. But this unmasked head is a bit disappointing, but I think I can fix it and make this figure look a bit more high-end. So, can I make it? I actually quite like how this suit looks, and would be totally fine with it as is. But I do want to try and see if I can give it that frosted, slightly grayish finish. It may not work, and I may ruin it, but I won't know until I try. But before I paint, let me move the cape out of the way first. There. I don't want to accidentally get paint on the cape. The finish I want is similar to what I did to Venom from Spider-Man 3. A really dark grey look with a bit of metallic sheen. I achieved that color by mixing black with a bit of silver. Let me test this color on the boots first, and cover up the yellow wash as well. It's hard to see, but it's very similar to the plastic sheen, but maybe a smidge less glossy. Let me apply this all over the figure. I also thought about sanding the figure first, but I ultimately decided against it. I like the very smooth texture, and I don't want to ruin it. Luckily, the paint applies quite nicely on the plastic, and because it's black on black, my strokes don't need to be super smooth too. Since the suit is mostly black, a lot of the finer details are gonna blend right in. So I'm gonna add a bit of silver to the claws to make them look a bit sharper. And according to the Hot Toys figure, there are these silver details on this belt too. But when I look at the images from the movie, it appears that the silver details on the belt are much more subtle. So I'm gonna do that. Keep the belt mostly black, with a bit of silver highlights. Speaking of highlights, I'm also going to add a bit of silver highlights onto the gauntlets too, so the armor plates stand out more against the black suit. Here's the grappling gun. It's a nice silver, but too silver. So let me rub a bit of black over it to make it look grittier. This will also bring out the details too. And I'm gonna do the same to the batarang as well. This batarang design is cool. It has more of a mechanical look to it. Okay, on to the face. It's not that bad, is it? Like, it definitely looks like Michael Keaton, but those eyes and that skin tone. So let me start by lightening up and desaturating the skin. The color they gave him is a bit too yellow in my opinion. Okay, now it's too pale. But it looks more lifelike for some reason. So let's add some color back in. I want to build up the color slowly. Michael Keaton's face also has quite a bit of texture, so I want to capture that too. The face is still too pale. Let me add a bit of red back in. I dip my brush in water to make it damp. This way I can push the paint around and blend it out. Gotta make it look natural. Okay, the face is still a bit on the pale side. Let's add even more color. Gotta make sure it's blended nicely and goes with the rest of the face. They gave him cartoonish eyes with zero depth. Michael Keaton is an older individual. He has lines around his eyes, so I gotta capture that too. A bit more color around the jaw area. And now I gotta do the same to this half of the face. It's hard to explain how I paint faces, because every face is different, and it's hard to put it into words. But I'll say, try and look for shapes on faces. Whether it's highlights or shadows, try and mimic the shapes you see on the figure. For example, I noticed that there's this upside down triangle right under his lips, so I will add a bit of shading there, and do the same to all the other shapes I see. The eyebrows also look Sharpied on. Gotta soften them up too. Alright, I'm pretty happy with the face. Let's move on to the hair. First, starting with a bit of shading, to give the hair more dimension and make the strands more obvious. And then a bit of highlights, to give the hair a bit more volume. Alright, here's the finished head. It looks so much more lifelike now, especially the eyes. I added a bit of white highlights on the pupils to make them sparkle. Now let's put the head back on and see how it looks. Here's the finished figure. Oh, okay, the changes are actually quite noticeable. The before kinda has this dark Vader vibe. I prefer the grayer, more frosted finish. The black boots are also much better. Let's take a closer look. The face is a huge improvement. The eyes were soulless before, and the skin tone looks much more natural now. I have such conflicting feelings about this figure. When I first saw it on the shelf, I knew I had to get it. And then I saw the face, and I didn't want it anymore. Then I remembered I spent most of my time fixing figures, so I decided to get it and was excited again. Until I unboxed it and was super disappointed that it has balancing issues. But now that I've painted it, I'm in love with it again. I don't have that many DC McFarlane figures, but they are interesting. Each figure has a unique body mode, and I like how they do the hips, where they try and make the hips joints as seamless as possible. The drawback is that it limits their posability. The biggest issues I see with the DC movie figures are the faces. The paint job always looks so basic. Most people aren't going to redo the faces themselves. If they can figure out a way to make the faces look less cartoonish and more lifelike, then these figures will look so much more high-end. To me, this Batman figure now looks like a premium collectible figure. Okay, let's end this for the photo shoot. I love the way light bounces off the suit. Another thing I am enjoying is the cape. I like that there are a variety of ways I can pose the cape. But I have to admit, it sometimes does get a bit annoying because it just won't drape the way I want it to. That said, this cape is very fun to photograph. It adds drama to the poses. Oh, you know what? I actually think the face was very well sculpted. It may be a neutral expression, but there's character to the face. Michael Keaton does not look bored or goofy. His expression is slightly different at different angles. And I think this is one of my better paint job on a human face. I still think my Black Adam one is better, but this one turned out pretty awesome too. Alright, I hope you enjoyed today's video. Give it a like and subscribe to see more content like this. Stay inspired and I'll see you next week. I can make it, so can you.